The main commentator that is in this league, Kamikaze SC Kelvin. I've never seen this person in a HTA lobby before. We got Ala Harry, otherwise known as Harry Cooper, in the Racing Point. Ettensen 1812, otherwise known as David Wallbank. He's been in many leagues. He is in the Ferrari. We've got Gad in the Red Bull. Ben Gallagher, who's on his day, he can be quite quick. He's in the Mercedes tonight. Harry Saunders is in the Toro Rosso. Cabricon is in the McLaren. Try and Catch in the Haas. Callum Anderson in the Toro Rosso. Rita and KCG, our two championship leaders, are both here tonight. And it should be interesting to see what those two do. There's a 3 point gap between the pair, with the Racing Point de Rida on top at the moment. We've also got Invictus joining Gad in the Red Bull. So qualifying should be interesting. Expecting laps to be around the 1 minute 4 mark, somewhere around there. My own personal league race earlier in the week, I couldn't get into the 1 minute 4s. It's actually a really demanding track, or you have to be careful, especially in the last two corners, not to take too much grip, not to be too greedy. We've also got Salon Pike. I can't remember, didn't see what car he's in. He's another new driver in this league this evening. Hopefully everyone's readying up now, and we should be in qualifying. So like I said, it's an 18-minute qualifying session here at the Red Bull Ring in Austria. If my game decides to load, this qualifying should be underway, and there's a bit of rain. That's what we like to see. Love a bit of British weather in Austria. And, well, this should excite qualifying. My lap time of 1 minute 4 is gone out the window now, because drivers will be going far slower. It looks like it'll be intermediate conditions in qualifying. So it should be interesting to see, yeah, intermediates there. Should be interesting to see what occurs in this qualifying session. Drivers will be able to come out. Depends what happens with the weather. Will it stay the same, or will it just get worse or even get better? A couple of drivers already coming out there. There's the Alfa Romeo. So it should be interesting to see what occurs. We've got full grid yet again, and Nola Fima, in fact, I was on board with. Not that I was going to be on board with them, but a few drivers coming out in their outlaps here now. The Williams of it's the new guy, PCS Calvin. Do apologise, he is a new guy, and he's unfortunately taking a spin at the penultimate corner. The yellow flag is sector 2. I couldn't quite tell who it was, so unfortunate there that I missed out on that one. Meanwhile, back on Harry, and he's getting a little bit too close to comfort with the Alfa Romeo of Sippy, and he's gone into the grab. I don't know if that was a coming together or just a misjudgment from one or the other, but that's ruined Harry's lap. And Ettensen 1812, otherwise known as David Wallbank, will be the first across the line unless he has invalid there, which I don't think he has. So this is the benchmark, a 1:14.834 as it stands. Puts the Ferrari on pole, but he's the only one to set a lap. And Harry Saunders, in fact, beats that by 8/10, but he's in the last sector. Sippy goes in P2 in the Alfa Romeo, so something's going wrong there. Harry Saunders only now going up to the line, which is a bit of a concern, unless the game's telling me some lying. There's a yellow flag in sector 2, and that is PMP Try and Catch in the Haas as Rita goes on pole. Few drivers setting it their lap time now. Okay, we've got the McLaren with a 1:14.1. KCG in P6 with a 14.1. There's Sippy, we said, with a 14th lap. Q-Tip as well in the 1 minute 14.0s. Then you've got two drivers in the 1 minute 13s. Very good enough from Epic the Animal with a 1:13.7, my apologies. And then our current pole sitter, V Rita, a championship leader with a 1:13.4, over 3/10 in front of Epic the Animal. So most of the drivers are getting in to finish their laps. That's what is the best thing to do. Get a lap time out on the board. It obviously depends what is the weather forecast for the Grand Prix. Maybe some people might have done mistakes on the lap which could have cost them. Meanwhile, Nola Firma did come out, but he went back in, but now he's back out again. He might fit a new set of tyres there on that Ferrari car. He waits up to let the Red Bull, I believe that was. I think that was Invictus. So let's see what Invictus can do in the Red Bull. A 17.7 first sector. I don't know if that's good compared to Virita because I didn't see what the Racing Point did in this lap. He flag in sector 3, but I don't think it's much. So Invictus going down into turn 3. There's a lot of braking zones here where you have to brake at the 100-meter boards. Well, in the dry anyway. He goes down to first gear for actual rotation now. There's a car at the exit at turn 1. It's one of the McLarens, I believe. And, well, Invictus is taking it very gingerly and cleanly. There's a 5-place grid penalty for K because currently in P8. He's got a 5-place grid penalty for collision with the Red Bull of Gad. The slowing down, maybe letting drivers through. So let's see what Invictus can do as he comes into the last corner now to finish off his lap. Obviously, there would be an opening of the DRS, but there's no DRS. He goes P11 with only a 14.846. More yellow flags in Sector 3. There's a Haas off there, which is AB53 mode, obviously letting other drivers go by. There's no yellow flags now as try and catch on his outlap, but he has got a Renault of Salon Peak, who is new to the league. It's the first time I've seen him all season. Meanwhile, Khalifa's on the lap, but he's endured some traffic, but there is a McLaren who just goes out the way, and there's another car there. Very good movements from those, but it's not going to end well. Look at that congestion on the mini-map there in the middle sector. Looked like a little bit of carnage. No one wants to pass anyone. And, well, Salon Peak's aborted his lap. Let's see what Khalifa can do in the Mercedes as he comes up to the line. The set A qualifying lap, it will be a 1 minute 13.8. That's a very good lap to put him in P3. KCG has quietly put himself up to P4 with a 1 minute 13.9. So a few more drivers maybe getting to grips with the track, and it looks like from the game the track is in fact drying up a little bit. So you never know. We could see some dry tyres. Harry Saunders in the pits and Ettensen at 1812, otherwise known as David Wallbank, has both put on this soft compound as well as Epic. They think it's time for dry tyres in this qualifying session, which is very interesting indeed to see drivers thinking it's time for dries and they're going to go for it. But obviously people have selected the soft compound tyre. They're not going out. They're not risking it just yet. So it should be interesting to see what occurs. There's Q-tips on an outlap. There's not many drivers on the grid. Not on the grid. Not many drivers on track now in this qualifying session. There's a few drivers either finishing off an outlap, not finishing off an outlap, finishing their in laps, or maybe just finishing their flying laps. There's racing in qualifying between Nola Fima and the Renault of Salon Peak. Yes, it was. Meanwhile, nothing much going on in front. There's a Haas gone out on track there. I didn't see what tyres those were. There's a Williams going out on track there. That was the Williams of Kelvin, I believe that was. He's going out, and he's going out. If I can change the camera, it would be very nice. He's still on those intermediate tyres, so he thinks it is still wet enough on track for intermediate tyres with 9.5 minutes left in this qualifying session. That could come to bite him near the end, because if it's time for softs now, people will pounce and go on a set of softs unless they wait until near the end of the qualifying session. So yet again, not many drivers out on track. Let's see, they're either on an outlap or a flying lap. Here's Q-Tip and the other Williams. See what he can do. Two-time hit the Apex League champion. What can he do in the Williams? He's been on off this season, but these year-to-days, a Haas there, which I believe that might be Try and Catch. He's out on softs, so Try and Catch thinks it is soft tyres. As Q-Tip, in fact, sets a purple milk tank. I don't know if that is true to his corresponding pace. No offense to Q-Tip, as you saw Try and Catch there, struggling with those soft, dry tyres. I don't think it's time for dries just yet. There's a DRS, I say that, commentator's curse. DRS has just been enabled, and Q-Tip goes up to P4 with a 1 minute 13.7. Very nice lap from the Williams car, actually. So let's go down and see what Try and Catch is going to be doing in this lap. As obviously DRS has been enabled. So she mentioned to see as a few more drivers might be coming out on track to on those dry, soft compound tyres and see if they can set a lap. So Q-Tip will be, not Q-Tip, Try and Catch will be the first one to set a lap, I believe, unless I've missed something. He runs a little bit wide there, maybe taking a little bit too much curb at the exit of turn 2. Now going down into turn 3, need to break at the 100 metre board and hopefully for a apex, but there's a couple of cars in front, one being a Williams I believe and the other being a Toro Rosso. So it should be interesting to see what these two, do they get out of the way or do they push on and try and start their lap time without getting into the way of the Haas. As I say that, one of the Toro Rossos peels across and one of the Williams looks to be struggling. I believe that could be Q-Tip as he pulls over to the track to let Try and Catch go by. So he'll be going into the last two corners now. Let's see what the Haas can do. This could be pole position, but it's not going to be a really quick lap in the dry. It's going to be pole, and there is a spinning Toro Rosso. It wasn't Harry Saunders, so it must have been Callum Anderson in the Toro Rosso. He was in the Williams last week, but he was in the Toro Rosso this week. Actually, a really good result in no, he wasn't. He was quite unlucky in China. He was in the middle of the race. He was actually really impressive. There's another spin off there. That could be, no, I don't know who that was. It was a racing point, so it might have been V-Reader. Might have done a mistake on a so a few drivers now thinking whenever it's time for dries, or well, this definitely is time for dry tyres. KCG is out on a flying lap. He's a second quicker in the first sector. He's got a little bit of traffic up in front, but this is looking good for the Alfa Romeo. Obviously, track's improving every minute, so expect the lap times to be tumbling in this qualifying session of the Red Bull Ring in Austria. So going into turn 3, shifts down to second momentarily there to get the car and turned in. His yellow flag in sector 3, that might be Callum Anderson. There's another yellow flag in sector 2, that is a racing point. That might have been V-Rita again, but on board with KCG, and he is flying compared to Try and Catch his time. It's far better conditions than what Try and Catch set them, so this could be pole position, as there is V-Rita in fact just slowly letting past his championship rival, who's on a really tidy lap. Yeah, it won't be one of the fastest times of the day, but it will be pole, and we're in the 1:07, so 1:07.5 4:05, my apologies, and that is good enough so far for pole, but we've still got 5 minutes left in this qualifying session. And there's plenty of time for people to change that. Khalifa has set a 16.8 in the first sector. My own personal lap times is roughly around the high 1:04s, but I run no assists and I'm not very good at the game. So and Khalifa in fact sets a purple middle sector. So it's interesting to see what the Mercedes does. He's shown glimpse of pace when I wasn't then involved in the league. Apparently in Bahrain he had a really good result. He took pole, but he couldn't convert it in the race. See what he can do. Need to run too wide in the last corner. He opens his DRS and comes up to the line. It's a 1:06.359. That is pole by over a second, but the track is drying up, like I said. So lap times should be falling now. Drivers should be out on track. Nola Fima goes P2 with a 1:06.497. That's good enough for P2 for the Ferrari driver. As Salon Peak goes on pole with a 1:06.308. Leave your predictions for this Grand Prix down in the comments below. I want to see people rooting for certain drivers because it should be fun, especially with the weather we've seen at the start of this qualifying session. It should be interesting to see what the weather does. As it stands, as a Renault on pole, which will be an interesting one, and Epic Animals down in P8 as our championship leader V-Rita down in P7. As in fact, Kyrgyzstan, who's on pole, he's got a 5-place grid penalty. Now he's put it on pole with only a 5.998. Yes, it was a 998. And Calvin in the Williams goes up to P5. And it's not a relatively good qualifying for two championship contenders. KCG in P6 and V-Rito, championship leader, down in P9. As I say that, the latter is out on an outlap. So it should be interesting to see, can those two get up into further into the top 10. Meanwhile, Harry Saunders, you expect a little bit more from him. Showing glimpses of pace, but he's not quite converted it. As Ben Gallagher in the other Mercedes goes on pole by about half a second to 105.4. That's a very nice lap for the Mercedes, and obviously with 3 minutes to go, he's currently on pole position. Should be interesting to see what other drivers can do. As that is AB53, I believe, who's just sneaked himself into P4. Fozzie Wozzie's having a really tidy qualifying session at the moment in P9 with a 108.2. So we should see what Vieri did there. Is on board with him now. Goes up the hill, the short climb up to turn 2. Need to break 100 metre board. Need to get the nice traction exit from here, which he does. There's a very nice first set, and I believe it was purple. So should be interesting to see as Sippy goes on pole with 105.125 as Rita breaks for turn 3. As they're not giving you a very nice camera angle down that back straight. Yellow flag in sector 2. That is a McLaren. That could be Fozzie Wozzie running wide. As there's not much drivers out on track. They must be booting for the best time to get the best lap out right to the end of this qualifying session as KCG comes out an out lap. But meanwhile, his championship rival, who's in front of him by 3 points, is going into the last corner. Purple first 2 sectors. Unless he invalids here, which I don't think he's done. He's kept it quite clean. He's going to come up to the line. A 104.4. That is pole position for now by over half a second. That's a very good lap. I don't think you'll be seeing AB50 through anyone in the pits now. They have to either get out really quickly if they want to set a lap in this qualifying session. KTG is on an out lap. His championship rival is on pole, so you'll have to respond. I don't think KTG would want to start outside the top 10 in Austria. I know there's a lot of overtaking places. Ben Gallagher thinks he can't improve on that 105.4. Sippy doesn't think he can improve on the 105.1. As KCG in fact starts his last qualifying lap with just short of a minute to go. Oh, and he goes into turn 1. Yellow flags were waving about, but I can't see an excuse to put one out as he opens the DRS and flies down this long back straight. Yellow flag in sector 3. That might be in Williams of either Q-Tip or Calvin, as AB52 Mo thinks he can't improve on the 6.3 set. We're still waiting for a lap from LR Harry, otherwise known as Harry Cooper, but most of the grid are trying to get round to start the qualifying lap. There's a little free car tussle there, which won't help those three, and I think it's slowing a few people down. There's a Ferrari off, but we're still going to go on board with KCG, apparent purple middle sector. Rita won't be able to respond because he's in the pits. So this is all down on KCG. Can he nick pole position? Or will someone else fly out with a few seconds to go? It's lovely conditions now in Austria. The sun has flown out. But will this be the lap for KCG? No, it's not. Within a hundredths of a second. Well, just short of hundredths of a second. He's in P2. As Harry Cooper in the racing point goes P4. P3 momentarily before being beaten by half a tenth by Khalifa, as Gad puts himself in the mix in the top. Capricorn went P5 momentarily, but then David Wallbank getting sent out 18-12 and Q-Tip both beat him. There's still waiting for a few more drivers to come around. Salon Peak, who did hold pole momentarily in this qualifying session, see what he can do. He's up by 6/10 on his personal best, which is a 106.3, so I'd put him in the 105s, but I don't think it'd be much of a gain of position as he goes into the last 2 corners now. As I think Callum Manson or try and catch, we've got positions there, and Epic the Animal is on pole. What a lap there is by the Renault. He's been very consistent all season, and then out of nowhere he's put it on pole position. I completely forgot about this man, and somehow he's trumped me and he's put it on pole. What a lap, a 104.2. 1.5 tenths faster than your championship leader Virito, who starts in P2. KCG in P3. Khalifa in P4. The third row of the grid, yeah, I am right, consists of the racing point of Harry Cooper and the Williams Q-Tip. David Wallbank, otherwise known as Ayrton Senna, 18-12 in the Ferrari, and Sippy share out the 4th rope Meanwhile, Capricorn did qualify 9th, but will serve a 5-place grid penalty after a collision with a new driver in the Williams called PSC Kelvin, I believe. Carl Manson in P10 and trying catches in P11 there, but he'll obviously get promoted to the top 10 after Capricorn's 5-place grid penalty. So this should be a very interesting Grand Prix. It looks like it's lovely and dry here in Austria, as we're waiting for drivers to ready up before we can start the formation lap. We'll go through the grid in full and in detail once the formation lap gets underway. Thank you for joining me this evening. If you're wondering where's the other commentator in Kamikaze Fox, he's unfortunately unavailable this evening, so you're stuck with me. And well, that was a very good lap, and this should be interesting. It should be a very good race. Held Moria, I believe that's how you pronounce your name. He's supporting for Calvin. Meanwhile, one of my mates, I don't think we should mention in this league anymore after the antics of last week as the formation lap gets underway. And Ben Gallagher saying he went too soon, but here's the formation lap. Epic the Animal shocked us all in that qualifying session, puts her on pole. V Rita, our championship leader, starts in P2 in the racing point. Can he convert another win like he did last week in China? P3 is the man that's second in the championship, only 3 points behind the man in front of him in the form of the Alfa Romeo of KCG. See what he can do. Can he put himself in the lead of the championship? Khalifa starts in P4. Ella Harry in the racing point starts in P5. Q-Tip is in P6, two-time HTA champion. Ettensen 1812, otherwise known as David Wallbank, starts in P7. Sippy, the man who runs the entire thing, he starts in P8 with Callum Anderson, who has been disqualified from the formation lap. That's not a good start to your race. Is in P9, as well as Try and Cash. They've both been disqualified. Row 5 on the grid is filled up already. Ben Gallagher in P11. See what he can do. Can he get himself into the points? Gad is in P12. Salom Pike is in P13. Capricorn P14. AB53 Mo P15. Nola Fema P16. PSC Kelvin P17. Fozzie Wazzy in P18. And Harry Saunders in P19. Oh, a great qualifying session for the Toro Rosso. And Invictus rounds out the grid in the Red Bull in P20. See what Harry can do. He's miles behind on the formation lap, which is a bit of a concern at the start of this Grand Prix. As we're just waiting for him to start his to just get round and get on the grid. And he's apparently on the grid, so we're waiting for the 5 red lights here at Austria. Apparently yellow flags already in the Formula 1 game. The lights coming on now. We've got 3 of them, now we've got 4, and now we've got 5. And now the lights are gone, and we're underway here at Austria, and that's a very interesting start. They'll make what's happening to Harry Saunders in this Grand Prix, but Rita takes the lead. Oh, a bit of contact. Oh, and Epic the Animal's turned in, and he's not really taking out the championship leader, but he's got involved in a massive tangle, and well, that's unfortunate. But Khalifa leads going into turn 3, turn 2. My apologies. KCG picks up a 5-second time penalty for corner cut and then gained the position. But what drama at the opening lap! Echo the Animal maybe got a little bit pushed wide by V Rita, and then he lost the back end and went careering into the championship leader, who spun. And Khalifa leads. KCG in P2. Harry, otherwise known as Harry Cooper, has a look at the Alfa Romeo. Q-Tip in P4. David Wallbank in P5. Siffy in P6. Gad in P7. Calamanson a little bit behind in P8. Nola Fema is in P9, and Capricorn wraps up the top 10. A little bit yellow flags behind. And that could have been maybe one of these two, as Khalifa leads as they start lap 2. Harry Saunders is miles behind. Apparently he's in the lead now. A little bit of contact maybe between these two. Can Rita start his climb up to the top 10? He needs to overtake the the Williams first, but he's not going to get it done. And that is Epic the Animal. As he got involved in that lap 1 collision with Rita, and he's paid his price. He's lost the front wing into the pits for a tyre change and back out right to the back of the grid. Meanwhile, up in front, KCG is all over the back of Khalifa. Most people are within a second of each other now, except for Try and Catch. He's 1.2 seconds behind Ben Gallagher. Invictus is a second behind Try and Catch. AB52 Mo's 1.8 seconds behind Salon Peak and V Rita, of course, and Nola Famer. And Callum Anson's going down a few positions there. He has had a great middle sector there as the Toro Rosso driver. He's got a little bit out of hand, maybe in the middle sector. And Salon Peak, as it just dives down the inside of Invictus, going into the penultimate corner. And well, everyone else is in same positions. Obviously the glitch saying that Harry Saunders now leads the Grand Prix, and he was last moments ago. Something's gone wrong there. Meanwhile, this is for the lead of the Grand Prix, and it might be KCJ who takes the lead down the inside into turn 2. That's a very nice overtaking move, but Callum Anson unfortunately is retired from this Grand Prix. There's a lot of scrapping going on in the midfield, and a safety car has been deployed yet again this season in the Assist League. And well, that will help V-Reader massively, because he could either go for a free pit stop, but he'd certainly catch up to the rest of the field. And KCG has got a 5-second time penalty, remember, for corner cutting and gaining a position. So this is settled the field a little bit. One of the big winners from the opening lap is Gad in the Red Bull. He's jumped up to P6. And Cabricon as well is not a bad start, as PSC Kelvin's picked up a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting underneath the safety car, as Cabricon in fact dives into the pits, as well as Ben Gallagher. No, he doesn't. Ben Gallagher doesn't, as Cabricon does. Nola Fema as well as Khalifa and Harry Cooper. And KCG, Q-Tip all stay out. They'll be catching up to the safety car quite soon. There is the safety car, as we can see, as they'll just all slow down. Majority of the field in fact going into the pits, so let's see what tyres all them are going on. 3 drivers going on mediums, and Sippy's picked up a 5-second time penalty with collision with Gad apparently, and Gad's in P6 and Sippy is down in P15. This is a bit of an interesting one. So it looks like Khalifa's moved on to the mediums. V-Rid has moved into the top 10 after their safety car and everyone's pitting. And you've also got Harry Cooper, who's gone on to the hard tyres, as well as Cabricon, Nola Fema, both going on to mediums. And Try and Catch as well. Salon Peak's in fact gone to the softs. He wants another stint on the faster red striped tyre, and Harry Saunders as well. I don't know if this is him racing. I believe this is an AI that's taken over the car, which is a bit unfortunate, because he's not that bad of a driver, as he is. He's gone the new set of hards. I'm not sure if it's him or not. Is it AI? Meanwhile, KCJ is in the lead of this Grand Prix, and David Wallbank pits. No, he's not. He's tried to stroll around as Gad picks up a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. So the Red Bull did by the dummy, and he's in the pits, and that's why it's a change of front wing for the Red Bull. They'll send in Tumbling near the back of the field, as well as Sippy, who pits as well. So it's not just the Red Bull. He's serving a 5-second time penalty, in fact, as well as having the front wing change. So that's about 12 seconds worth of penalties, that is. Let's run lap 5. Not 12 seconds worth of penalties, 12 seconds pit stop time, my apologies. Lap 5 up to 36. Nearly a sixth of the way through this Grand Prix, and there's been action-packed carnage, just like you want in real-life Formula 1, but you get it in league racing as well, as KCG is in the lead of this Grand Prix. Obviously all falling behind the safety car, of course. A lovely Mercedes safety car, but also be quite slow in this game, in fact, compared to what it is in real life. And obviously, numerous Formula 1 drivers, in fact, complain about the safety car being a little bit too slow. So-called masters have added it to the game. So should be interested to see when the safety car comes in. I think it might be at the end of the next lap, because not all... No, it's not. It's at this lap. So we will have a restart to this Grand Prix at the end of lap 5, going on to lap 6. So let's see, when does KCG... Fozzie Wozzie picks up a 5-second time penalty for collision with AB53 Mo in the Haas. So, very unfortunate for the McLaren driver. But when does KCG go? That's the question on everyone's minds watching this Grand Prix at the moment. And I think he'll be going now. Yes, he will. As he goes into the last corner. And it looks like it's a really good safety car restart. As he starts lap 6 out of 36 of this Austrian Grand Prix. There's a bit more overtaken there. V-Read is at a very nice start. He's up to P7. I think that's Fozzie Wozzie's dropping positions left, right and centre. Very unfortunate for the McLaren driver who's in the points momentarily there. I don't think he's got much downforce on that McLaren. I think he's lost a bit of his front wing. Callum Hanson's left the session because he has retired from the Grand Prix. Meanwhile, KCG is miles in front. He's 1.1 seconds out front in front of Q-Tip and the Williams. As Fozzie Wozzie picks up another 5-second time penalty. It's disaster for the McLaren. She's picked up about 10 seconds worth of time penalties within the last few moments, which is very unfortunate for her. Meanwhile, KCG just trying to build this lead and in green flag racing. And me hope that everyone else can just tussle behind and you can just pull away. He's obviously got a 5-second time penalty to serve for corner cutting, and he gained a position illegally while doing the active corner cutting. So he leads by around about a second, maybe might be 1.1. We'll find at the end of this lap. He leads by 1 second. He sets a fast lap of the Grand Prix winning with 7.9. Meanwhile, Ben Gallagher's at a tidy race in P4. Invictus, who started plumb last, is in... Well, he didn't start plumb last. I can't remember. He started now. He started somewhere. He's in P6. Meanwhile, Ben Gallagher dives down the inside of it and turn at 18-12. David Rollbank will have a look with the switchback. And a little bit of contact there, a little bit of wheel banging. But will Ben Gallagher hold it on as they go down into turn 3? I think the inside line will favour the Ferrari. A little bit more contact there. And the Ferrari does a good job of defending from the Mercedes of Ben Gallagher. This is a scrap for P3. So, this is not much else going on in terms of people trying to catch up to others and overtaking them. Except for V-Reader, of course, who's up into P6. After spinning at turn 1 after a collision with Epic the Animal, who's down in P14. Ben Gallagher taking a lot of curve there at the penultimate corner. As in fact, they both run a little bit wide as DRS is now enabled on lap 8 of this Austrian Grand Prix. And what can Ben Gallagher do? Can he sneak his way past the man on the softs? As I'm saying that, David Rollbank at the Ferrari picks up a time penalty, which is very unfortunate. But it should be interesting to see what Ben does. As he dives down the inside. That might be a little bit too risky. As well, it was simple for the Ferrari. Didn't have to do much. Meanwhile, there's a little train going on behind Invictus with Rita and Khalifa. Rita, obviously the championship leader in the racing point, and Khalifa in the Mercedes, who has showed glimpses, took pole in the opening round of this championship. So can Rita get past the stricken Red Bull? Well, not stricken, he is driving it, but can he get past the Red Bull? Going into the last sector, not the nicest places to overtake, but he's still having a little look, having a little gander. And Invictus goes defensively. He is on 7 lap 01. As they start lap 9, I think this could be a comfortable overtake here. Maybe not. Invictus defending for all his life, but try and catch. Has unfortunately retired from the Grand Prix. A little incident there, but I believe that's Fozzie Wozzie. 3 wide there. Turns to Reveal as the safety car comes out for a second time in this Grand Prix. And there's I think he was trying to catch a stricken there. Unfortunate for him, he started the race in P10 due to the Capricorn's 5-place grid penalty, so he knew he could have easily gone up into the points. So it's KCG's his lead advantage of 1.2 seconds has been wiped away again due to the safety car, and we might just see a few drivers might change their pit strategy here. They could come into the pits and put on a new set of tyres and see what that can do. Maybe revert to a 2-stop, and then or maybe just put on a set of mediums, see how long they can last. in the Grand Prix. Does KCG pit? Or does he try and dummy? KCG, in fact, pits. He's not fooling me. As he goes into the pits, and as well as Q-Tip and David Wallbank, as well as V-Reader, so everyone that hasn't pitted, well, they're going into the pits. So this should see Khalifa and the Mercedes lead the Grand Prix. Obviously, we're waiting for everyone else to pit, and everyone else is pitting, so there's going to be carnage. Ben Gallagher picks up a 3-second time penalty for warnings. This pit lane, is very busy. There's a double stacking going on at Ferrari, so this should send the order completely inside out and the wrong way round. And Sippy as well pits. There's more double stacking in Alfa Romeo. And well, should be interesting to see Harry Saunders, who I don't think this is Harry Saunders real life. This is Harry Saunders AI, who's apparently leading the Grand Prix, which is apparently untrue. In this race, it's actually Khalifa who leads in the Mercedes. Cabricon's in a P2 as it stands. But majority of the field have pitted. There's quite a few drivers there that have pitted. The person that's benefited bigger out of this is Q-Tip and Ayrton Senna and David Wallbank. They both jumped the race leader KCG in the pits. So Q-Tip is currently our net race leader because, well, not technically our net race leader because out of the ones that pitted, he's the one that has emerged out in front, and he's gone to all these people who have got older tyres than him, and he could potentially have a go at them. In fact, KCG, the car behind him, is his championship rival in V-Reader, who spun at turn 1. Someone had told me that would occur, I would most probably said probably not. But yeah, Invictus has gone another set of softs. Salon Peak, AB53 Mo and Olafima all on the mediums. Kelvin's on the softs, Sippy, Fozzie Wozzie and Harry Saunders AI version 2, let's call it, is on the mediums, but I don't know what's happened. His lap apparently starts somewhere in the last sector, unlike the rest of us, where it starts on the back straight. So safety car is just driving around as it normally does and what it's supposed to do. As I'm doing that, I'm sipping water because water's good for you, and well, we're just waiting for the safety car to restart. So let's do a little run through of what's going on in this Grand Prix. So well, turn 1, Rita and Epic came side by side, and well, Epic ran wide, pardon me, and lost the back end and turned into, well, it didn't turn into Rita, but when you lose the back end it's quite hard to control the car. And well, pardon me again, I apologise. And Rita went for a spin, Epic went for a spin, and KC was in the lead. And the safety car comes in this lap, so I haven't got long to sip this water. So it'll be Khalifa leading the pack as they start lap 12 at the 36. The second, 6th mark of the Grand Prix, or the third mark, the third way mark of the Grand Prix, if you're a little bit intelligent. And you should know what a third is. The third is a third of the Grand Prix. Lap 12 out of 36. As Khalifa's gone. Khalifa's gone. He's well gone. He's left Cabricon for absolute meat. And he's going to be in the pursuit. Well, in fact, Harry Cooper will be in the pursuit of the McLaren as the safety car is was gone. Safety car's gone. We're in green flag racing. Should be interested to see what occurs as Fozzie Wozzie picks up a 3-second time penalty, and KCG has a look round the outside of David Wallbank going into turn 2. Very close racing between the pair, but I don't think KCG will get the move done. Will he get the slipstream down into turn 3? He does have a look down the inside. David Wallbank gets to give room, a little bit of contact there, pushes the Ferrari a little bit wide, and KCG does get the move done, but the Ferrari's still there. Oh, there's a bit of contact and the Ferrari's round. That's very unfortunate. Oh, there's a massive crash. Baby 53 Mo has been involved in a horrific incident there. Apparently David Wallbank flipped, and don't know if that occurred in his car, but that's a very nasty accident. maybe this dude might be looking into that just in case, because that is a little bit silly from David Womack. You should let all the cars go through before knowing it's safe to carry on and drive. And he's, I think he's just retired. He's just retired, and the virtual safety car has been deployed, so not the full safety car. All the cars decrease their speeds by 40%. So should be interesting to see when whoever catches this at the best time gets very lucky with it. There's an unfortunate glitch with the safety car. People drive quicker than the Delta and they get away with it. You're supposed to have a penalty, but people do get away with it. So you need to see when this safety car, the VSC, comes in. If it comes in the middle of the last sector, then they could really catch a lot of drivers out. So I'm taking a sip of my water, and we're gone. Just like that, we're back underway. And Khalifa's lead is over nearly 2 seconds. This is not helping the likes of KCG. Epic the Animal somehow in third after around turn 1, in front of Rita and KCG. DRS is now enabled, and Gad's lost a couple of positions to the 2 championship leaders. Maybe Rita could have a look at his championship rival. He's 3 points in front of before the Grand Prix started. There's been a lot going on before and since that, but he could have a look going into turn 2, which could be very interesting indeed. Will he have a look? He looks for the outside line. KCD will not be letting that one go very easily indeed, as well. But he'll have a look again. Will the Racing Point going down the straight down the hill into turn 3. Not much overtaking in front. And Rita again looks for the outside line. He looks for the traction on the outside. I think he's got a little bit more than what David Orbank did moments ago. And I think he'll have a look down the inside. There could be a carbon copy we just saw just now, but Rita pulls out of it. Very smart driving from the Racing Point. So we need to see if he can have a look at him going into the last sector. That camera didn't help me one bit, because they go into the last 2 corners. It's not the greatest of lines there by Rita. As it looks like, it looks to be some scrapping involved. Ben Gallagher, no, that's Q-Tip, my apologies, having a look at the other Racing Point of LR Harry, otherwise known as Harry Cooper. Hall of Famer and Gad, they're having a big old ding-dong down here. P10 downwards is a little bit exciting. No one told me this at the start of the Grand Prix. And Gad's having a look, Salon Peak's having a look at Invictus as well. This could end very interesting indeed. And Salon Peak's in fact moved up to P9. No, Femer's ended up worse than that. He's down to P13. Meanwhile, back up in front, Q-Tip's overtaken Epic the Animal out of that. And I missed that. And there's a big train falling in the air from Capricorn in P2 in the McLaren. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You've got 6 cars scrapping for 2 podium places. Then the rest of them are all scrapping for P9 downwards up until you get to P13. As Harry Cooper in fact picks up a time penalty. I think that was Rita who's run extremely wide there. Meanwhile, back up in front, Q-Tip and LR Harry both fly past Capricorn. And Q-Tip, as it looks at LR Harry, a little bit of contact made there. The Racing Point runs a little bit wide. This could be very interesting to see what occurs here. Invictus picks up a 3-second time penalty for Team Track Nervous. Capricorn's going to get back at them. He's overtaken 1. Will he get these Williams? Epic the Animal comes in. There is a Mercedes of Ben Gallagher who's joined the party. Oh, he's lost the back end. That's a bit unfortunate. That could be one of the best dive moves I've ever seen in my entire watching of Formula 1. Meanwhile, Capricorn somehow manages to keep it in P2, but Kyo gets the switchback, and the Williams should get this position done, and he does. Wonderful racing, and KCG joined in. KCG's come from nowhere as well as V-Rito could be looking at this. KCG up at the P5 overtakes the Renault of Epic the Animal, and surely be looking down at the Racing Point of LR Harry. His teammate Rito would love LR Harry to hold up KCG for a little bit longer, but I think LR Harry be looking for moves himself. He's got DRS on the McLaren of Capricorn as they start lap 17 up to 36 over this Austrian Grand Prix. Meanwhile, as Ben Gallagher dives on the inside of Rita, runs wide, and Rita will have a look back, of course, going down the hill Well then, going slightly uphill, going into turn 2. So we into the see what occurs. Ben looks for the switchback. Epic the Animal's behind all this as well. Rita looks like she's got the position safe. Meanwhile, Ella Harry be looking round the outside of Capricorn going into turn 3. Lot of curb taken by the McLaren. And the Racing Point looks to be getting the position done, and he does. Next on Capricorn's mind must be the Alfa Romeo of KCG. He's lost a few positions. Rita picks up a 3-second time penalty for exceeding track limits. As this scrap is brewing massively, there's more drivers coming onto the tail, lap on lap, unless your name is Khalifa, who's 3.6 seconds in the lead at the McLaren. We'll obviously still be wanting to have a look at the Racing Point of Harry. So should be interesting to see what occurs here. As Nola Fema moves himself with the P11 after an overtake on Invictus, but Capricorn has a look at Ella Harry. That could come in to bite him, because KCG is on his outside. Yellow flags in sector 2. There might be a spinner somewhere. That might be one of the Red Bulls, or maybe a Toro Rosso. KCG looks round the outside, and it looks like he might have a little switch. No, he does not. As well, he's 1.5 tenths behind him, so this is all but nothing. Epic the Animal is somewhere behind them as well. More yellow flags in sector 2. That might be the Ferrari, and Nola Fema has lost a lot of time in that. Meanwhile, back in the scrap for P4. Will KCG get past the McLaren and pursuit for a top 3 finish? He needs to get this move done sooner rather than later. I think the majority of the field have got to pit again. I don't think we'll be able to make those tyres last until the end of the Grand Prix. As they go into turn 1, will he have a look? Trying to get as much slipstream in DRS. He thinks he's got a little bit more confidence. Down into turn 3, Ben Gallagher picks up a 3-second time penalty. He's gone to the outside. This might be a bit of a mistake, because this could help Epic the Animal, and the Renault's just behind them. KCG, oh, a little bit of contact, but he looks like he might get the move done at the exit of turn 2. That is fantastic from the Alfa Romeo, and he moves himself up into P4. Says P5 but then, because Harry Saunders' car has glitched massively in this Grand Prix, which is a bit of a shame actually. It's interesting to see what he could do from the back of the field. But meanwhile, up in front, Khalifa is, well, not miles ahead. He's about 4.1 seconds in front of Q-Tip, who's nearly 2 seconds in front of Ella Harry and this scrap. And Epic the Animal and Rita, this looks like these two are going to get a little bit closer to each other, which looks like following a very nice healthy train down to P10. Can you come tip me on that train? Well, if he can catch up, yes you can. As I say that, he's run wide. But meanwhile, they all look like to be spreading out a little bit more, which is healthy for me, because I don't have to commentate as much and talk about everyone's overtakes and that. Meanwhile, as I say that, Rita is having a look at Epic as they go into turn 2. Will he have a look at the inside? No, he protects his car, and he's in a Renault sandwich as our championship leader. Salon Peak is all over him as they go down into turn 3. See what the Renault can do. Will he go down the inside? I think the Renault will go down the inside. Will this be a position? No, it will not. A little bit of contact and not enough to justify any being damage. But these guys are looked down the inside. Rita's in fact run wide, and our championship leader is in the gravel. He's not going to be reached, so he'll be fine. But he's out of the point. A little bit of contact made between the Renault, Salon Peak and Rita. And twice this race now, our championship leader in the Racing Point has been sent down to near the back of the grid, which could huge, massive ramifications, is that the correct word, for the championship. But KCG is in P4 and is within a second of Ella Harry, Rita's teammate for this tonight, in P3. Meanwhile, it's all calming down a little bit, and well, the closest one I can see is these bunch from Capricorn all the way down to Kelvin. They're all been staying put, waiting for the best chance to overtake. We're well past halfway. We're on lap 21 out of 36 of this Austrian Grand Prix. And Invicta, there's a scrap of Red Bull's been going on all day. Invictus and Gad, these two, they don't care about team orders like in real life Formula 1. they just carry on scrapping and sees what's occurred. Apparently Harry Saunders in P3, but I don't believe this one bit. I think that is him being lapped. If that is Harry Saunders in P3, then I'll be amazed. As Ella Harry just goes through me, and that's definitely a lapped car. But it won't work for KCG, which is a little bit... Oh no, they did that, yeah. That's good. Everything's restored to themselves for the foreseeable future. As Gad picks up a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting. And that should be changed to team orders for F1 2020, as me thinks. As KCG, he's all over the back of Ella Harry in the racing point. As Epic... Oh no, it's just trying to overtake Harry Saunders. This isn't for position. Will KCG catch up and get the move done? That is the most important question. Ella Harry didn't take much curve. That's not a very nice entry or exit for turn 3 as they go up into turn 5. This is that little kink thing is turn 4. But this is turn 5, and that is turn 6 and 7. Should we into to see what occurs here? And it looks like KCG, the pair of them are conserving ERS, as KCG will get the RS for the back straight and for the exit of turn 1. Meanwhile, Epic the Animal and Ben Gallagher have both come into the pits at the end of lap 22 on to lap 23 for a new set of tyres. Let's see where they go on tomorrow. It's very important, this, for the end of the Grand Prix. They've both gone on a pair of softs, but Epic's got a front wing change to do, so he'll so Ben Gallagher, in fact, jump him there, and Gad as well serves a 5-second time penalty and a front wing change. Meanwhile, V-Reed and Fozzie Wozzie are extremely close to each other in this, which is something I wasn't expecting to say. No offence to Fozzie Wozzie, but Rita was very aggressive last week at China. I don't know what's occurred here, but these two within a second of each other, which gives the McLaren a DRS as Invictus picks up a 5-second time penalty for corner cutting. Meanwhile, back up in front, not much has happened except for me blatantly missing KCG overtaking Harry Cooper, which is my fault. My apologies, and we move on. He's trying to catch up to Q-Tip, who's in P2 in the Williams. He sends the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. 107.6, I believe it is. I can't really see it due to the red coloured halo of the Alfa Romeo. As Kelvin in the Williams, debut race here at HTA. He's drove very nice. He's still going to... I think he'll still be in the points as Ben Gallagher... No, he won't be in the points, as Ben Gallagher does pick up a 3-second time penalty. And he will rejoin... He might rejoin in P10, actually, just in front of Epic. And he does. Meanwhile, KCG is slowly closing the gap down. Meanwhile, Capricorn's having a look at Salon Peak. The Renault's in P1, McLaren's in P6. Obviously, both running Renault engines in real life. And, well, it should be interesting to see. Can Capricorn find a little bit of pace? Lose that moments ago when he dropped several positions. He was running P2 momentarily. Meanwhile, the gap between second and third is down to 1.3 seconds. KCG is in pursuit of the Williams of Q-Tip. They start lap 25 at the 36. Khalifa, meanwhile, has controlled this race since the second safety car came out. And that's Ben Gallagher overtaking the... Oh, and Harry Saunders in fact crashed, which is a very interesting one. As in fact, Epic's overtaken Kelvin, which I've missed, as Capricorn picks up a 3-second time penalty. And see if the Williams can get him back, but I don't think that. Sydney's driven a very nice race. He's just waddled along and put himself in P8. And can Capricorn get the move done on the Renault is the most important question. This is the closest scrap that I can see, except for Harry, in fact, got up to KCG a little bit. You have another look. There's a little bit of contact made, and round goes the McLaren. There's a bit of a do-or-die move for Capricorn there, and it hasn't paid off for him one bit. Invictus has apparently left the session, unless it's just his car ghosting for no apparent reason. The gap between the top two, second and third, my apologies, just going down a little bit more. The gap is just over a second as they start lap 26 out to 36. of this Austrian Grand Prix. It's been a very enjoyable race for a main commentary. I'll be the first to admit. It's all dying down a little bit now, though. There's only a few cars that are within a second of each other, as Cabricon in fact says ta-ra to the medium tyres and comes into the pits after using them for 22 laps, which is very impressive for the McLaren driver. Just a new set of tyres. He goes on the set of the softs, as another person that went into the pit and set of softs was Epic the Animal, and he sets a fast lap of the Grand Prix. So could those softs get Cabricon to the end of the Grand Prix? He'll join just behind V-Reader, a little top of wall there next to the pit lane, and Rita is in P11, which is very interesting. Meanwhile, the championship rival is just over a second off P3, which would be very interesting for the championship. And will Kelvin get the move done on Epic? No, he won't. He won't have a look there into turn 3 after he might have seen what Cabricon did to Salon Peak, a little bit of contact and a risky move, and he contacted someone's side pod and you spin around, which is the norm in Formula 1. Well, Formula 1 games, not maybe real life. But the gap between these two is just dipped to a second, just under that now, so maybe at the exit of turn 2, KCG might have some DRS, but he is harvesting fuel. He's gone down to none DRS usage there at the turn 2. So we can see what you can do. He's 9/10 behind, so he needs to gain a little bit more time than that. As Harry Saunders is somehow in P2. Don't know what that's happened. That's obviously is a glitch in the system, a glitch in the Formula 1 games. Some people might lag out, maybe during qualifying or something, and well, he won't be able to take part in the Grand Prix. And yeah, he does. And Cabricon, in fact, did get past V-Rita. That moves him up to the P11. So the new softs did work against the 17-lap-old mediums that V-Rita was running. There's a gaggle of cars all running softs. You've got Ben Gallagher, Epic, Kelvin, Cabricon, all behind each other now. Obviously, there's a bit of a gap between all drivers, but the gap between the top two has closed down considerably. Gap is only 7/10 now between Q-Tip and the Williams and KCG in P3 in that Alfa Romeo. Obviously, KCG battling for the championship, and I'll be very pleased to hear that Rita is in P11, which is very good news for him, as Cabricon in fact sets the fast lap. First put into the 6, I think, and apparently Harry Saunders to set the fast lap of the Grand Prix. 106.1, but I don't mark me my words saying he's in P5, because I don't think that's true. Because these two are getting really close to each other. Can KCG get past Q-Tip and put himself onto the podium in Austria? I think the leader, Khalifa, as I say that, is on 24-lapped old mediums, so he might have to think of going into the pits very quickly and very soon, as the gap is just over half a second. This is the only one that's well within half a second of each other now. He did have a really nice entry into it, but he's had an okayish exit. I don't think he'll have a look down the inside into turn 2. If he can get a nice exit out of turn 2, and Q-Tip might not get a good exit out of turn 2. You might have a look going down the straight and the the third DRS zone, and going into turn 3, the newly added one. There's yellow flag in sector 3. There is a car off. That looks to be a Williams. No, it's not. It's our championship leader, V-Rita. His race has gone from bad to worse. I think that's himself spinning on his own at the exit of the final corner. Not the nicest of places to in fact nail, really. You could spin quite comfortably about 3 or 4 times there, Grand Prix. Meanwhile, these two are getting really close to each other. Can KCG get the move done after a disastrous race with V-Rita? I don't think he'll be getting points now. Can he get an extra couple of points, get himself into the podium? No, he's already on the podium. Get himself up to P2. My apologies. As they start lap 30 of the 36, there's not long left. Harry Cooper in the racing point, 26 lap old on those hards, as Harry Saunders picks up a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting. Both KCG and Q2 20 lap old mediums, as well as Khalifa, who's been on those mediums for 26 laps, which is a very, very impressive stint from the Mercedes, actually. As these two, this is the closest they've been to each other now for the entirety of this battle during this Grand Prix. So can KCG find that extra little bit of power? He's on 46%. Well, they're both roughly running the same. Got the same amount of ERS, and V-Rater's called it a day. I think he's gone into the pit lane and retired. He wasn't having a good race. He spun a few times, and Invictus picks up a 5-second time penalty for ignoring blue flags. He wasn't having a good race without championship leader, and well, that's a definite shock to the system this evening. The championship leader retiring from the Grand Prix in just before lap 31 out of 36. KCG did have a look on the outside there, going into turn 2. Will he have a little switcheroo, otherwise known as a switchback, as he will have DRS, and he might have a bit of slipstream as well on the Williams. And he will have a look down the inside. Q-Tip goes defensively, very defensively in fact. And, well, this is the closest they've been to an overtake. And can KCG just find that extra little bit of pace? But he's all over him going into turn 5. And into turn 6 and 7. Yeah, no, I'm correct. I'm just counting the number of corners there is round this track. And it should be interesting to see what occurs here. Can KCG get that move done? So they start lap 32 out of 36. Khalifa is starting lap 28 out of his medium tyres. Will those go pop, or will Khalifa and the Mercedes, who's pulled from these two? In fact, the gap's up to 5.6 seconds between race leader and Q-Tip. But here comes the Alfa Romeo round the outside into turn 2. He'll obviously still be there, so Q-Tip can't close the door completely. KCG cuts back into his slipstream as they go into turn 3. Looks for the outside, and will he get the move done? He needs much more better traction, and I don't think he will. Very nice traction from the Williams, but that is very close as Gad picks up a 3-second time penalty in the Red Bull for multiple warnings down in P13, so a 13-second gap to Fozzie Wazzy, who's picked up a number of penalties in this Grand Prix. And I hate that camera angle because you can't see what's going on. And will Q-Tip hold out? The gap, in fact, between the top two is closed massively. There might have been a mistake by Khalifa that lap. The gap's, he's lost half a second. So this is not over for either of these two. As I say that, Khalifa's just pulled a tenth and a half on them. But can KCG get this move done? They really need. He's had 2 pops at Q-Tip last lap. What will happen this lap? Not much else going on between the rest of the field, so we can firmly look at this and this battle only. And if they get interrupted for another scrap, we will go to that other scrap as Ben Gallagher picks up a 3-second time penalty for the corner cutting down in P7. I think that might have been gone for Q-Tip. I think that might have been chance gone. You'll have to conserve ERS in the last sector anyway. As Q-Tip, in fact, looks to have pulled away. They're both on the same lap old tyres. And if KCG was to pit, he dropped down considerably in the order, which wouldn't be good for his points credentials. I think he just got to keep it in P3, and if he can get the move done on P2, you get the move done on P2, as he's trying to conserve fuel. But Q-Tip's not fuel, ERS, my apologies, and Q-Tip has saved a little bit of his going down the back straight, as he gets a very nice exit there, does the Alfa Romeo. As Khalifa has lost a lot of time in that first sector. The gap's gone down to 4.5 seconds. Is the Mercedes tyres gone after 30 laps on them? Meanwhile, these two are still going at it. Will we see an overtake is the most important question on everyone's minds right now. As they go into turn 3, nothing to be happening this time. Khalifa will be waiting his chance. He's conserving the ERS there. So is Q-Tip. This is very tactical, especially with the ERS, which is very good into this game. But I think the ERS changes are far too much and, well, far too complicated for me personally. But they're just changing it up, conserving a little bit, maybe using a little bit more. As Our race leader starts the penultimate lap of this Grand Prix. The gap, in fact, has dropped down a little bit more. The gap is only 3.9 seconds, in fact, and Q-Tip's in fact pulled a little bit more on KCG. So, as these Mercedes tyres gone, are they gone? Is the most important question. 31 laps. This is his 31st lap on those tyres. It'll be a remarkable drive if he could bring those home in one piece, no punctures. Those must be really close to puncturing level now, which would be very concerning. And oh, Q-Tip can in fact see. Oh no, it's the left car, Fuzzy-Wuzzy. But KCG is really gaining on him here. There might be a scrap for P9 between Kelvin and Epic the Animal, which I will keep my eye on it, just in case nothing prevails over this. As Kieran in fact pits, he might be looking for the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, which I believe he owns. So he might be looking to put a stamper on it to improve it. Meanwhile, our race leader Khalifa starts his last lap of the Grand Prix. Should be quite soon. He has. But can Q-Tip hold out for another lap from the Alfa Romeo of KCG is one of the most important questions. The lap car Fuzzy-Wuzzy for that, which won't help either way, which in fact help Q-Tip massively. Still give him DRS going down this straight, which could be huge in the context of this Grand Prix. And Fuzzy-Wuzzy in fact runs really wide, just to let KCG through, and that's actually a really okay exit from the Alfa Romeo. Will he have a look into turn 3? Maybe a little bit too late for a do or die move, but it is the last lap of the Grand Prix. Khalifa's pulled. Khalifa's lead is only 3.5 seconds now, as he is entering the last chicane. Well, it is the last chicane. As well, with these two, what will happen here is the most important question. As Khalifa enters the penultimate corner now, it says that Harry Saunders is leading the Grand Prix, which I don't know if this is true. No, it's not. Khalifa wins. Meanwhile, Q-Tip holds on to P2. KCG P3. Ella Harry, otherwise known as Harry Cooper, is in P4. Salon Peak, his first time in HTA, does really well to finish P5. Sippy in P6. Ben Gallagher will cross the line in P7 in front of Epic, but I don't know what will happen with any penalties. Epic beats Ben. Kelvin in his first race at HTA finishes P8. Ben in P9. Nola Fema. Harry Saunders in fact finished the race in P9 apparently, and Ben Gallagher finishes in P10 somehow. And Nola Fema comes across the line in P11. Gad's in P12. And will Kieran improve in his fastest lap is the most important question. Yes, he does. He did improve it. I didn't quite check the lap, and it looks like it's about to start to rain. In fact, right to the end of the Grand Prix, it's been an enthralling Grand Prix. 2 safety cars, 1 virtual safety car, as well as the 2 full safety cars. A very entertaining scraps for the podium, as well as the midfield. Our championship leader unfortunately retired tonight after a catalogue of events which occurred for him. But a very good win by Khalifa, who somehow managed to keep those medium tyres out for the majority of the Grand Prix, which is quite short of fantastic. A wonderful drive. His first race win of the season. After picking up pole in Bahrain, he's finally got that win, and it's come here round 8 in Austria. Well, what can I say about that Grand Prix? What a race. I didn't realise Khalifa had a penalty, and the ending just short of 200ths between Q-Tip winning the Grand Prix. That's phenomenal stuff. What a way to end the Grand Prix. So Khalifa won, Q-Tip P2, KCG ran up the podium. And then it was Ella Harry, also known as Harry Cooper, Salon Peak, Sippy, Epic the Animal, Kelvin, Harry Saunders, somehow in P9. I'm convinced I wasn't then. And Ben Gallagher rounds out the points. Been one sort of fantastic Grand Prix. I thoroughly enjoyed in the commentary box. Hopefully next week I'll have the main man, Kamikaze Fox, with us. He knows what's happening next race. He knows what next race is, and unfortunately I don't, which is a bit of a disappointment. It's a shame he couldn't share the information with me as well. But what a race that is. Massive, massive well done to Khalifa. As well as the other two in the podium, Q-Tip and Kishji. As well as everyone else who finished in the points. And that will be me done this week. And, well, what a Grand Prix round the Red Bull Ring in Austria. I enjoyed it. I hope you did as well. If you missed out earlier, you missed out on the HTA Elite League. This is the Assist League. That was the Elite League. The Elite League is where drivers race without the assists, which is, I think, it's a fantastic concept. I think everyone in the Formula 1 community should run no assists. But that's my personal preference. And yeah, those are for the people that think they can race quickly and they have no assists. So if you didn't see that, the race should be out on the YouTube channel now after it was streamed earlier. But yeah, I'll be back next week. Hopefully, Camry Cars will be back next week as well. I've been Yeston, and I hope you have a really good rest of weekend and next week. And I shall see you on Saturday.